settling your mind into your yoga practice. Forgetting any of the issues of the day, anything that troubled you today, anything that aggravated you today. With each exhale, allow that to leave your consciousness, your mind, your body, taking that deep tension away with it. And on the next inhale, as you exhale, make a commitment to be compassionate with the body in the practice. No one gets thrown off in yoga. Okay, so opening your eyes now, we're going to start with a gentle movement with some pelvic rotations in this position. So what I mean by that is, with a breath in, arch the lumbar spine. So pushing in with the back of the bottom into the mat, create an arch in the lumbar spine. With a breath out, then go the other way. So flattening the lower back against the mat. 3 breaths like this. Each time explore how that feels in your hips, in your lower back. Still engaged with your Ujjayi breath. And then come to a neutral pelvis, so not really controlling the core or the spinal erectors or the hamstrings. Flex the knees, so bring the feet up, so just below the glutes, hip width apart, hands still down by the side of the body, palms facing down. We're going to do the same thing, but with the knees flexed. So 3 of these, so breath in, arch that lumbar spine. Breath out, flatten the lumbar spine, put the tailbone up, use the core muscle, slight engagement with the core muscle on that. Exhale, inhale, release the core muscles, arch the lumbar spine, exhale, flatten the back, pull the tailbone up. Probably get a little bit more movement now because the hamstrings slightly relaxed in this position. We're not tugging on the ischium. So you can get a little bit more rotation forwards and backwards. You might feel that. If you don't, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But just be conscious of that lovely, smooth movement of pelvis. And then come to neutral. So we just do a couple of bridges. So breath in, arch the lumbar spine. Breath out, flatten the lower back, and now hold. Hold that position. Use your core muscles, flatten the ribs down. And then the next inhale, push into the mat with both feet, lifting the hips away. Exhaling, keeping that core contraction, keeping the pelvis in exactly the same position as you come down, rolling down. Lumbar vertebra one by one. Inhale, arch the lumbar spine. Exhale, flatten the lumbar spine. Hold the tuck under. Inhale, up into bridge. Exhaling nice and slowly, keeping that tuck under. Trying to get the lumbar discs coming down one by one by one. And last time, inhale, arch. Exhale, tuck under, and inhale up into and then slowly exhale down. And release, neutral pelvis. Okay. Keeping the right leg flexed, set the left leg up in the air. Point the toes to start off with. Lift the shoulders off the mat so you can reach forward and grab hold of the back of that leg. Then glide that leg towards us and release. Glide it towards us and release. And on the third time, we'll glide it or hold it. So feeling the tension now starting to create tension in the hamstring. Flex the ankle, bring the toes down towards the floor, to your head. You'll feel a stretch at the top of the arm. Hold it. Big Ujjayi breaths. On the exhale, try to encourage that leg to come a bit closer with the arms. And release. Change over. So left foot goes down to the mat. Right leg comes up. Straightening out that right leg. Keep the shoulders high. Reach up. Grab hold of that leg. Exhale. Bring the stretch on. Inhale. Release. Exhale. Bring the stretch on. Inhale, release. Third and final, and hold. Flex the ankle, feel the stretch come on in the calf. Exhale, bring the stretch on a bit deeper. Inhale. Exhale, bring the stretch on a bit deeper. Inhale. And then release. Keep the shoulders up. I'm going to point the left toes back. Keep this right leg up. Point the toes. So both toes pointed. Take the hands up. Try to press it, or keeping this lumbar spine pressed into the mat all the time. So we're going to start movement with the legs now. So inhale, reach the arms up a little bit higher. Exhale, bring the left leg up, right leg down. And again, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, move the legs. Okay, bring the knees into the chest, squeeze the knees towards the chest, squeeze the knees towards the chest, and again. We're going to roll up to seated position, so you can maybe use a little bit of momentum to roll into the back and come up into seated. We've got spinal articulation in seated, so as soon as we come into a comfortable seated position, lift the chest, bring the shoulder blades back down the back, and be aware of your lower back. Try to picture and imagine your lower back coming straight up out of the pelvis. Lift the chest on a breath in. Exhaling now, really doming that back. Real kyphotic curve in the thoracic spine, the top part of the back. Breath in, lift. Length across the front of the chest. Look straight ahead, bring the shoulder blades back down the back. And exhale into this horrible domed rounded position. One more. Breathe in, lift. Length across the chest, nice straight lower back. And release. Folding forward now into tabletop. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, hip width apart. We're going to go into some cat cows. So breathing in, dropping the tummy button down, lifting the head slightly, pointing the tailbone up. Breathing out, tucking under, engaging the core, dropping the head. Breathe in, allow the tummy to go down towards the mat, looking up and pointing the tailbone up. Breathing out, tucking under, dropping the head, and dome back. And one more. Nice and slowly, feeling the movement, exploring the movement, any sensitivities you've got in your body through that movement. Okay, come to a neutral table. So let's check the balance out. So with a breath in, take the left leg nice and long backwards and take the right hand forward. The right arm's coming up either side of your head. Breath out, knee to elbow, nice and slow. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. All the way across the body. Really stretching toes away from fingers. Breathing out. And on this fourth one, I'm going to hold for a couple of breaths. So looking down at the mat, making sure your right hand is as high as it will come. Pointing the toes back. Engaging the core. And release. Okay, might want to move the hips a little bit there, just to release any residual tension. Okay, the other side. So I'm going to left hand forward, right leg back on the breath in, nice and slow. Exhaling, knee to elbow, rounding, keeping the limbs off of the ground at all times. On the fourth one, we'll hold there at 3, 4 breaths. Good form, so left arm nice and high, right toes pointed, engaging the core. And release. So staying with your hips above your knees, you can walk the hands forward and come into this puppy dog stretch. So taking the arms as far forward as you can, and allowing the head to drop between the shoulders. Maybe the forehead comes down to the mat, maybe just hangs there in space. But feel the stretch all the way across the upper back. Engaging with your J breath still. Good. And then walking yourself back to table. We're going to slowly lower down to the mat. So taking our chest and our chin down, point the toes backwards, join the toes together. Hands at either side of the rib cage. Tuck the elbows in and push the chest up. And keep going until you've just come up, the pelvis has come off the mat, but the knees are still on the mat, okay? So it's high cobra, all right? Engage your glutes, keep your legs together. Bring the shoulder blades back down the back, so shoulders moving away from the ears and look forwards. Pushing into the mat with the hands. In, length across the front of the chest, shoulder blades coming back. If this is too much, then you can go to regular cobra and release. And counter that with extended shoulders, so knees out, mat width apart, join the toes together and sit back onto the heels, take the hands up to the top corners of the mat, forehead comes down. On the exhale, engaging the core muscles, so lifting up from perineum, pelvic floor muscles engaged, lifting up, pulling the navel into towards the spine. On the exhale, release, soften, release. Now actively push down into the mat with both hands, so make both arms active in this posture. Gives it a little bit of a different character. Really good engagement of the shoulders, engagement of rotate, cuff muscles, engagement of the arms. Okay, and then coming up to a neutral take. We're going to go straight into our high lunges. So tucking the toes into the mat. Tell you what, we'll step the right foot forward between the hands. So tucking the left foot, and then we'll straighten out the left leg. Okay. Take a moment just to get your bearings on the mat, so widening your toes, pushing into the mat evenly across the right foot. Straighten out that left leg. Now, full engagement of the core as we slowly bring our body upright, just in any balance you need to. And then bring the arms up either side of the head into your first high crescent lunge. A little bit wobbly today. Okay, pushing evenly into the mat with both feet. Shoulder blades coming down the back. Breath in, lift the fingers up. On an exhale, tighten your core, rotate your torso, your chest to the right. Take the left arm all the way out in front, take the right arm behind and look to the side. Hold here. Inhale, on an exhale, allow the right arm to sweep down towards the mat. At the same time, the left arm goes up towards the ceiling. Start to turn the body to the front and then all the way to the left and drop into a warrior two. So you'll have to pivot your feet to achieve that. Okay, you can do this maybe a couple of times so you get a bit more familiar with it over time. So coming into your warrior two, just checking in where the feet are, reorganising your foundation. Left leg is nice and straight. Right knee is pointing over to the little pinkies. Knee is flexed. Shoulder blades are coming down the back, as we know. Turning and looking over the middle finger of the right hand. Breathing in, fingers going further apart, length across the chest, and exhaling, just dropping the hips a little bit at each time. So taking the hips further down to the ground, not leaning forward, so length through the tailbone coming all the way up through the spine, the crown of the head. Good. And then drop the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers. Behind the back, push the palms of the hand or the hands away from the body to create a length, or a stretch across the front of the chest. Breathe in, lift the chest even higher, and on an exhale, take the chest down towards the ground as far as you can, bringing the hands up over the top. Humble warrior. Release the hands. Take both hands down to the mat, either side of the foot, and turn that left foot in line into a low lunge. Okay. Now pushing into the mat with the left hand, turn the shoulders to the right, take the right hand up, and point the fingertips to the ceiling. Hold here. Just checking in with that right knee, it's not pointing or drifting out to the side, it's still in line with the body. Hips are still square to the front of the mat. Drop that right hand down to the mat, drop the left knee down to the mat, come into tabletop. And while we're here, do a couple of cat cows, just loosening off that right hip. Breath to movement, all the way through the class if you can. Okay, stepping the left foot forward between the hands. And do the same on the other side, so tucking those right toes into the mat. And then when you're ready, straighten out that right leg. Really engaging your core here. Strength all the way coming up through pelvis into the tummy, flatten the ribs, and bring your body upright. Again, even pressure going into both feet, pushing that right heel back, so keeping that right knee high, not dipping the supporting leg. Breathing the hands up into the air. Shoulder blades coming back down, looking straight ahead. Just checking in again with your ankles. Even pressure going into both feet. Hips are pointing forwards. Length all the way from the tailbone through the spine. Arms up, straight up. Shoulder blades coming down. Breathe in. Lift the fingers slightly on an exhale. Tighten the core and rotate to the left. Right hand forward, left hand. Good. Okay, inhale. This next move, we're going to sweep that left hand down the side of the body to the mat. At the same time, the right hand comes up to the ceiling. Turn it in to face the front and then to the right and drop into warrior two. And check in here where we are in our warrior two. Continually evaluating foundation. Toes are nice and wide in that left foot. Left knee's pointing over the left pinky. Right leg is fully extended, pushing into the outer edge of that right foot. Wiggling the toes on the right foot to get a really good feel of the mat, feel of your foundation. Shoulder back. Breathing in, inhaling length into the body. So fingers go further apart on each inhale. Exhaling, deepening the movement. So dropping the hips a little bit closer to the earth. Growing into your eventual expression of this Shavasana. Looking over the middle finger of the left hand. Okay, release the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers. Drive the hands away from the body. Lift the chest on an inhale, and on an exhale, bend at the waist to take that chest closer to the ground. Bring both arms up over the top. Breathing in, stretching the fingers away from the back. Breathing out, deepening that forward bend. Release the hands, bring them down either side of that left foot, turn the right foot in line. Push into the mat with the right hand, keep the core tight, turn the shoulders to the left, taking that left hand up into runner's lunge. Checking in with that left knee, that it's not flopping out. If you've got a tendency for your knees to flop out when we're in this type of low lunge position, it's a sign that your abductors might be a little bit tight. But we can work on that. That's why we do yoga. So I wouldn't think any of you have got that situation. Bring that left hand down either side, on the left side of the left foot, and step back into a downward dog. And start to pedal the legs here just for a couple of breaths. Give you a little bit of respite. Dropping both knees down, mat width apart. Join the toes together, sit back on the heels into extended child. Forehead comes down. Bring the palms together in front of you and bend at the elbows to lift both palms up so the thumbs come to the back of the head. Take a few breaths to enjoy that really nice stretch of the triceps. And then coming back into tabletop. Okay, tucking the toes in, feet are hip width apart. Lift up and start to take the sit bones back into another downward dog here. So we'll take a couple of pedals here with a breath, stretching out the backs of those legs. Pretty loose already by this stage of the practice. Looking back at the ankles, slight engagement in the core. You're going to inhale the hips forwards and through into plank. So bringing the shoulders to come on top of the wrists. Fingers are nice and wide. Okay, while in plank, another option here is to pretend you're going to unscrew the top of a can, but obviously your hands can't move, but your arms can, so externally rotating those arms. So really subtle movement, taking the elbow creases forwards. Repetition of rotator cuff and the scapula, the deep scapular muscles, latissimus and trapezius. And then inhale all the way back into down dog. And slowly walk the hands forward, bending the knees as you come forwards. Come to a Bentley forward bend, so join the toes together about an inch between the heels. Allow the hands really just to hang there. And you can grab hold of opposite elbows and have a bit of a ragdoll movement, keeping the chest quite low onto the thighs. Drop the hand, tuck the chin in and slowly rolling all the way up to standing. With a breath in, we're not going straight into sun salutations, we're lifting the hand up either side of the body, all the way to the top. We're going to do a side stretch, so palms together, cross the thumbs. Breathing in, lifting the fingers as high as you can. On the exhale, tighten your tummy, flatten your ribs, engage your thighs, bring your thighs together and slowly lean towards the left. The next inhale, reach the hands as high up as you can. And on the exhale, a little bit deeper to the left. Keeping the core contracted, keeping the thighs pushing together. Feel the stretch come up the QL, up the side of the right side of the body. Come back to centre. Breathe in, lifting the fingers even higher. Breathing out, tighten the core again, and then go to the right. Breathing in, height and length in the body now. Breathing out, tighten everything up again, and come to the right, a little bit deeper. And one more. Remember to press those thighs together, activates the core. And come back to centre. Exhale down. Inhale. Similar thing, but with a back bend. So again, in high mountain, inhale the arms as high as you can. On the exhale, pull the tummy in, flatten the ribs, and go a little bit backwards. So lean backwards from the waist. Inhale, length in the arms again, reaching as high as you can. Exhale, tighten the core, pull the thighs together, and come back into a little deeper back bend. And one more, inhaling, length in the body. Exhaling, really tighten the core here. Okay, protects the lumbar spine when we go back. And release. Good. Okay, and coming to the top of the mat, if you're still at the top of the mat, that's fine. Come down to the mat through sun salutations. With a breath in, lift the hands all the way up and out to the side, up to the top, look up. Exhale, bend the knees, swan dive all the way down to the mat. Inhale, straighten the legs, straighten the back, leg to the back, look forwards. And on an exhale, rotate the pelvis forwards. So you're taking the chest and head closer to the ground. Big inhale, on your exhale, tighten everything up. Step the right leg all the way back and drop the right knee down to the mat. With an inhale, come all the way up into crescent lunge. With an exhale, fold forward. Push into the mat and step back into plank. Knees, chest, down. All one exhale. Tops of the feet on the mat, pulling back on the palms of the hands, peel the chest forwards and up into Cobra on the inhale. And on the exhale, release. Tuck the toes in, push up into plank and roll that into downward dog. Couple of breaths here. And step the right foot forward between the hands. You can inhale it up and glide it forward. You can make your way. Dropping the left knee on the mat. And then inhaling the arms all the way up to the side into our crescent. Exhaling, folding forwards and stepping forwards into a Bentley forward bend. Hold here, just get our feet positioned so toes are touching about an inch between the heels. Keep breathing, we're going to come up into chair. So next inhale, we're going to lift the hands forwards and up. And then we're going to really tighten our glutes here. We're going to tighten our thighs and our hamstrings. Lock everything off there. Put our tummy button in and flatten our ribs. And look forwards. and then release. And slowly come all the way up to Shavasana. Okay. Still keeping the movement. Go back to standing posture now. Tree. So widen the toes, engage the muscles all the way up through the leg. Tighten the core muscles here. Hands on hips. And then bring your left leg up. And it could be into the thigh, it could be into the calf. Don't try to get it on the side of the knee if you can help it. So whatever works for you, get into this holding pattern. Hands on hips are fine. Keeping that left leg externally rotated, so going out as much to the side as you can. Everything's tight here, pelvic floor is lifted, ribs are flat. And then slowly working with your balance, you can start taking the arms up. Now, you can have the arms wide if you like, if that's easier for you, or if that's more comfortable for you, or you can have the hands joined together. You can have cactus arms. It really is personal. You're going to focus on something on the floor. Maintaining your core contraction. Slowly coming back down the way you came into the Asana. Under control, all the way down. A couple of breaths. Go again the other side. Nice and slowly, okay? Just check in, make sure the foot is really well planted. Toes are nice and wide, pushing evenly across 3 points of contact, 3 major points of contact in that foot. Tighten everything up, gives you stability here. If the pelvis is nice and stable, when we start moving limbs away, it's easier for the brain to compensate. Again, working with your focus. Very good, well done. Everybody's doing so well. And then slowly come out. Okay, so that was really good. So good, in fact. We're going to do dancer now, because we've all got really good balance tonight, and it'd be a travesty not to do dancer. Okay, so dancer, as you know, is standing one leg aside. How I get into it is I lift, raise leg, I grab hold of the foot from the inside, and it could be anywhere on the foot, it could be the toes, top of the foot, or it could be the ankle, your choice. Take the right hand or the opposite arm up, and then pivoting at the hips, engaging the quads, calves, core. Only go as far as you do. So what we're trying to do is lift that left leg or that bent leg high, and then we're going to activate that leg to kick the foot backwards. So we get real good grip of the foot, kicking that leg backwards, then gives us a little back bend, just a very slight one. And then trying to see, again, your range of movement. Well done, guys. Well done, that's really good. Really, really good. It's a really challenging asana. I'm not very good at it, obviously, but nonetheless, I teach it because I think it's got such good merits and benefits. Okay, so going on the other side. Again, Good surface area with the foot. Good core, muscle engagement in the neck. Not hyperextended, a little bit of flexion in the leg. It just gives your brain a little bit of something to work with in terms of balance, proprioception. So again, going at it nice and slowly. At the moment, the centre of gravity is straight down through the ankle. Using that high hand, that raised arm, you can slowly regulate the balance. Hold as long as you can. 5 reps. So good. Then Lizzie. It's really hard. It really is hard. I think you're doing a whole lot better than I am. I really struggle with it, but it's such a great sign. Right, come to the top of the mat. I'm going to come down to the mat with a breath in. Lift the arms up. Exhale, swan dive. Now we're going to kick the right leg back. Then, the wrong way around, we're going to walk the hands round to the front. So we're going to come into a Skandasana. Skandasana is this. So to get into that, from lunge, walk the hands around, straighten out this right leg, flex the ankles, the toes point up. Use your hands to stabilise and perform, give you the stability of the foundation, and just work a position that's comfortable for you. Now, if this is really too much, you can come down on your knee, okay? What we're looking for is a nice stretch of the adductors of the hamstring of the calf, okay? If you're okay with toes or even flat of the foot, depending on the range of movement you've got, this is also good. So, in this sort of starting position, or this starting position, let's see if we can take the arm up and look up at that thumb. Okay, if that's too much, this is fine. The other option is to come up and check the balance with hands across chest. If this is comfortable for you, maybe have a go. And release. I'm going to walk all the way with the hands to the other side. Nice and slowly. When you start flexing that knee, just check in with that knee how that feels. Because we're often quite a lot of pressure through that joint. That's why it's important to keep your hands stabilising you initially. Work out how it feels for you. And then maybe just test where you are with your balance on this side. Okay, and then coming to the centre with your hands, heel toe the feet out probably between 4 and 5 feet. Just tucking the toes in, pigeon toeing the feet a little bit. So the legs are straight, hands are down on the mat. If that's too much, bend the knees slightly. We're going to just walk the hands back towards it in line with the feet. And then lift the chest up, length in the back. And then pivot at the hips, allow the chest and the head to come closer down to the ground. Not interested about where they end up, just looking for a stretch in the back of the legs. Okay, if you come down You feel that tension in the back of the legs. Then try and lift the sit bones up slightly, just to progress that stretch a little bit deeper. So this is not necessarily about getting your head close to the mat. This is really about getting a nice stretch through those adductors, hamstrings. And again, working with your breath. And then lift them up. Bring your hands to your hips. Keep the chest nice and long now. And we're going to slowly come all the way up to standing. And into a 5-point. Okay. Toes, point the toes out now about 45 degrees. Inhale, the fingers as far away from the body as you can. On an exhale, slowly come down into a squat. Wide leg squat. Find a position that's reasonably comfortable. Pulling your knees back, bring your pelvis forward. Feel like you're squeezing your glutes. You've got a coin stuck between your buttocks. Hold here. Again, checking with those shoulders. One of my worst traits is I tend to forget about the shoulder blade. That's what I'm always banging on about. Distance between the shoulders and the ears. So, good stability in shoulder girth. Slowly release and take the hands down in front of you. Walk the hands all the way around to the right. Turn both feet in line. And kick back into the downward. Stretching out your legs now, because we had a little bit of compression in the hips with that last goddess. So moving the hips as you pedal the feet. And then dropping the knees down to the mat. Join the knees together and sit back as comfortably as you can on your heels. Okay, so we're in hero pose, which is always an indication of how tight we are in our quads and our hip flexors. There's no right, there's no wrong. You know, if you're up here, it just means you've had, got tight quads. Lots of people, cyclists, runners. If this is comfortable for you, hang here for a few minutes. If you want to go a little bit further back, walk the hands back. Maybe let the head drop between the shoulders. To the point where you're feeling the tension, and then work with that, work with your breath. It's going to be different for everyone. Get to a point where you can feel that tension and just stretch it out. And work your way back. And coming to tabletop. So wrists, shoulders, knees and the hips. Take that left leg back, tuck the toes in and push back into that left heel. And release, and we'll go with the right. Pushing the heel back as much as you can. You're going to stretch all through the sole of the foot as well as the calf. Okay. Now we're going to come down to the mat on our tummies. Nice and slowly. So we can do three asanas here. We'll start with a gentle cobra. So join the feet together, bring the hands either side of the rib cage. As you inhale, bring that chest forwards, lift it away from the mat. Bring the shoulder blades back down the back and look forwards. Hold here for a couple of breaths. As you breathe in, try to get some length in the top of the spine. It's not really going for a big, deep back bend here, but get length in the spine. Bring that chest forward and up. And then release. Okay, now we're going to go to locust. So we're going to do 2 levels of locust. The first one is a conventional hands down the side of the body. Join the toes together. That's your choice. It can be legs, it can be chest, it can be both. We're going to hold for about 5 breaths. So with a breath in, initially to lift the chest and the legs up. Find your position. Not looking for any great distance here because we're going to hold for 5 breaths. We're looking for engagement of our spine erectors, hamstrings. Bring the shoulder blades back down the back. Looking forwards. Anytime it's too much, you can come straight or go straight into child pose to counter. And release. And we'll all do that for now. Quite intense, that very first locust. So slowly sitting back onto your heels. Still engaging that breath, that Ujjayi breath. Okay. And then coming back down to the mat. Now this variation of locust is with our hands behind the back, interlacing the fingers, pushing those hands away from the body, which naturally will bring the chest up, and then bring your feet off the mat. If it's too much, you can stay in child's, or you can stay with any version of locust you like. This one, each time you breathe in, pushing those arms away, getting length all the way across the front of the chest. Looking forwards, and not forgetting about the feet, which are hopefully slightly raised off the ground. We won't hold too long there. And we will counter with child pose. So with child pose now, inching those fingers as high as you can on the mat. With each breath in, just grip a little bit more, and the exhale, sit back onto the heels. And when you're ready, coming slowly into tabletop, and do cat cows here. Just reacquainted yourself with some spinal articulation with the breath. Loosen up those posterior spinal muscles. Just work so hard. Okay, and then we're going to cross our ankles and walk our hands back Roll back on our bums. And coming into seated position, knees are hip width apart. Do a couple of roll downs and roll ups. Okay. So what I mean by that is working with the breath as well, again. Taking the arms out in front. Now this is all about real good core engagement. So, you know, making sure that we're fully engaged in the pelvic floor. Flatten, or tummy is pulling down, but most importantly the ribs. Flatten the ribs. So you get this really good tight core body. You can dig yourself around and feel that good contraction. And you have got it. You have got core strength. You wouldn't be able to do this if you didn't. So breathing in, reaching the arms forward, keeping that contraction. On the exhale, tighten the contraction even more. And then use that core strength to slowly lower back. Taking your back as low as you think you can go, so you can come back up. So when you go that low, or as low as you've gone, inhale the hands forwards again. On the next exhale, tighten everything up and use your core to invoke movement. Inhale at the top, exhale, tighten everything up, and then slowly coming back. Your core is actually stopping you from going back really, really quickly. Inhale. And the next exhale, use that core to actually invoke movement, to bring your torso up. Inhale up, and then slowly come down. All about core contraction. The reason we exhale, contract, or blow as you go, as my daughter puts it. Inhale. Because the exhale lifts the diaphragm, gives the core muscles a little bit more room to work. And release. And that's where, again, the Ujjayi breath can be really, really powerful. Because if you really deep breathe through your throat when you're exhaling, concentrate on that breath. It takes your mind off of everything else that's happening in your body, which isn't a bad thing when you're doing core work. Okay. So, taking the legs out nice and long now. Come into a forward bend. So, just feel the sit bones on the mat. If you can't remember where they are, walk the bum forwards, 2 paces, and walk the bum back. So a little bit bony bits at the bottom of the ischium. Raise the those, and be aware of that pelvic rotation. Pelvis rotating on top of the legs, femurs. Back is nice and straight. I'm not only my back, it's my pelvis that's rotating. So it's always good, I think, in Dandasana or in seated forward bend, Paschimottanasana. It was good to glide it on a bit. So make sure you're pivoting hips. And then exhaling forwards. Come to the point where you feel the tension in the legs. Hold here. Hands can come and rest on the shins, on the thighs. Doesn't really matter. Keep the chest nice and high, chin nice and high. Now, the trick is to engage the thighs, the quad muscles. So tightness in the quad muscles here. Breathe in on your Ujjayi breath. You go a little bit deeper. So the quad muscles are engaging, naturally releases tension in the hamstring. It's not about distance, this is about feeling the tension and working with your breath to soften that tension. So a little bit deeper on the exhale. Not compromising the back. Anytime this feels sensitive in the lower back, come back up. It's not a competition. It's all about stretching the fascial tissues in those muscles or those in the body, which holds us back. Okay. Going to counter that. So take the hands down just behind the hips, push into the mat, fingers are nice and wide, and then lifting the bottom up And then lifting the hips up, probably with your core and your glutes, to take the hips nice and level. A reverse plank. Point your toes, drop the head back between the shoulders, but use your glutes to keep that point fairly high. Release. Okay, now going into a nice, hopefully relieving twist rotation. With the left leg nice and long, bring the right leg onto the offside. Taking the right hand behind the body to lift all the way through the spine. So good bit of length through the spine with the chest up. Take the left hand up and then bring that left elbow onto the offside. If that's too much, grab all that leg. Same thing. But create length in the spine, breathe in. And then as you rotate, use the core muscles to help you along the way. And then take a big breath here. And then to go a bit deeper on the exhale, you can use the bind. With each exhale, maybe going a little bit deeper if the body will allow. Tightening the tummy muscles. Remember on the inhale, length, in this case through the spine. And slowly come out of that position. Back into Dandasana and then swap sides. So left leg over the right leg. And again, whichever bind you choose, the important thing is to create length in the spine, lift in the spine. Breathing in, lifting the chest up, breathing out, tightening the core, and then allowing the torso to come in. Bit of a holding pattern at first. Breathe in, lift. Exhale, tighten the core, use the bind, go a little bit deeper. And slowly release. Okay. And now slowly coming down on your backs. Bend the knee. Take the head down to the mat. Join the soles of the feet together and come into this really nice reclined cobbler pose. So make a diamond with your legs. Join the soles of the feet together. Reach the hands up above the head. Join the palms together. Close the eyes. Tuck the chin in slightly. On an inhale, reaching the arms up as high as you can. Away from the head. Hold there. On the exhale, big Ujjayi escalation. Bring your attention around to the pelvis, the groin, the hips. Softening the tissues here. Just allowing everything to release, let go. And then bringing the knees together, bring the hands down the side of the body, bring the knees up towards the chest, squeeze the knees in towards the chest as much as you can. Release the squeeze and then one more. Big squeeze in, put in as much as you can into the chest. And release. And then I'm going to go straight into Shavasana. So you could lie on your backs in corpse pose. You can stay in Supta Konasana, which is reclining pigeon. You might want to put a book or a block under your sacrum, just to give you a little bit of relief. Sometimes that's quite comfortable. Whatever works for you, find a position on your mat where you can stretch out. Closing your eyes. Immediately coming into your breath. And take 3 or 4 breaths where you start to deepen the inhale very slightly, but prolong the exhale. Just 3 or 4 breaths, making that exhale nice and long. And on the last one, start to scan around your body for any tension. So come to normal breathing now, not controlling the breath out. But checking in with how it feels in the jaw. Soften the eyelids. Allow the tongue to rest in the base of the mouth. Feel pressure of the shoulders on the mat. Release any tension in the arms, across the chest. Working down through the spine to the pelvic bowl. With each exhale, feeling the tissue soften. Muscles releasing. Feeling the hips, sensations around the hips, allowing the legs simply to give into gravity. Settle at the bottom of the hip socket. Releasing your body to gravity. Each exhale, you feel you're going a little bit further down into the ground. Awareness of your breathing. And using your breath to avoid any distractions, any sounds, any sensations, any emotions or thoughts that might appear. Observing the smoothness of your breath. movement of the body with your breath. And with nothing calling for attention in the body, the breath slows. Maybe the faint pulse of the heart. Feel heavier on the mat. And the mind is quite still. Only focusing on the breath. Now you can start to let your mind wander. Take control of your breathing again. Breathing deeper into the lungs. On the inhale. Feel the chest rising and the release on the exhale. Each time going a bit deeper with the breath. Bringing up the heart rate slowly. And when you're ready, start to move your fingers, start to move your toes. Start to move your ankles and your wrists. Maybe move your head from side to side. Nice and slow. If you're ready to roll over to your side, take a few deep breaths here. And then slowly, when you're ready, make your way up to a comfortable seat. Everybody's still there. That was sort of really sort of hippie and also postural. So you might find in the next day or so.
Most days.
I do love locusts and chairs. You know, they're just so good for our back, our posture, and just that awareness of your shoulder blades. Just simply doing yoga and those little sort of prompts. Oh, shoulder blades does make a big difference to how we carry ourselves during the day. I absolutely, see that myself personally, and people I talk to. So thanks for joining in. Thanks for doing yoga. I really enjoy you guys coming along and doing it. I'm just going to carry on. I don't know where the public classes go. There are some opening up, and I would actively encourage you to go and try some yoga out if you can in a room with other people. If you haven't done it before, I'm sure you have. There's some teachers out there trying it. The schools I teach, aren't opening yet, and I don't know when they're going to. I guess it's going to be September. I've heard from Crowthorne, who are definitely going to be open in September. I haven't heard from Finch or Spencerswood yet.
Frost.
In the meantime, have a good week. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Richard.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.